Before we dive into today's episode, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It's the best way to stay updated with our latest insights.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the CTSS Academy podcast. The energy is electric. The crowd is alive. Let's dive into greatness. We're champions strong.
Before we start the show, don't forget to check our new ebook, Kill All Bugs, Learn Software Testing in One Day. For a limited time, it's only $9.99. Links in description.
If you close your eyes for a second, I bet you could still hear it.
Oh, I know that sound.
That frantic little tap, tap, tap noise, and then almost instantly, that horrible thud of failure.
The sound of that little yellow bird hitting a green pipe.
Exactly. That sound. It was basically the soundtrack for a few months for the entire world back in, 2014? A global obsession.
It was more than just a game, though. It was this perfectly engineered, almost accidental addiction machine. And for one very quiet developer, it was also a sudden, just staggering tsunami of cash. We are, of course, talking about Flappy Bird.
We talk a lot about digital success stories, but this one is just, it's built on a paradox. The sources confirm this unbelievably simple, almost rage-inducing game was generating $50,000
Per day.
per day, just from advertising revenue. Just sit with that for a second. That's $1.5 million a month from a game that looks like you could have coded it in an afternoon.
Right. It's the kind of success that's usually the end of the story, you know? The happily ever after, the rags to riches ending. But for Dong Nguyen, the creator, the story didn't end with a celebration. It ended with him completely rejecting all of that wealth and fame.
He didn't sell the company. He didn't even issue a press release. He tweeted this simple, almost desperate plea. It just said, "I cannot take this anymore."
And then he deleted it.
Gone. He actively tore up a winning lottery ticket that was printing money, choosing to go back into obscurity instead of taking this mind-boggling wealth.
And that decision to just erase his own creation, that's the real mystery we're getting into today. Our mission is to understand not just the market phenomenon of Flappy Bird, but the personal, the ethical burden that led a developer to walk away from 50 grand a day.
Yeah.
We're diving into the very strange suicide of a viral hit.
So let's start at the beginning. The quiet origin of it all, thousands of miles from Silicon Valley in Hanoi, Vietnam. This wasn't some big corporate launch, was it?
Not at all. I mean, it was the definition of an indie project. Our story starts with Dong Nguyen, who all the sources describe as just profoundly quiet, deeply introverted.
And his goal wasn't to take over the world.
No, his motivation was actually really simple. He wasn't chasing, huge profits or anything. He just wanted to create these little games that you could play with one hand.
Right, like on the bus or the metro.
Exactly. Quick, disposable, and something you could understand in 2 seconds.
And Flappy Bird, which he coded back in 2013, was definitely simple, but the look of it was intentionally crude, right? It had that 8-bit retro feel, but is also a little controversial.
Yeah, the primitive graphics were part of the charm, for sure, but they also caused his first big problem. The sources really dig into the look of those infamous green pipes.
The Mario pipes.
The Mario pipes. There was this immediate, widespread accusation that he had just lifted them directly from Nintendo. He always said they were just inspired by, but that similarity, it put a target on his back before the game was even a hit.
So he submits it to the app stores. And what happens?
Nothing. Total silence. It was just ignored for months, another game in an ocean of games. It got no traction at all, just sat there until early 2014 when suddenly a switch flipped.
And the chaos began.
The chaos began, and we need to look at exactly what flipped that switch.
This is where the modern virality playbook really comes into focus. You can basically trace this explosion back to one single person, can't you?
You can. We're talking about the PewDiePie effect, the YouTuber. He played the game, but here's the critical part. He didn't really endorse it. He played it while getting theatrically, escalatingly furious.
He was just shouting and cursing at it.
Total, unadulterated digital rage. And that's fascinating because the virality wasn't driven by positive reviews. It was driven by people wanting to experience the pain that he was so publicly going through.
It kind of proves that weird internet rule, right? That
Yeah.
hate and frustration generate interest, maybe even more than praise does.
Absolutely. Everyone wanted to know what this stupidly simple, impossible game was that could make a famous streamer just completely lose his mind.
So what did that do to the numbers? What was the scale of that success once the fuse was lit?
The scale was, it was unprecedented for an indie game. Within weeks, Flappy Bird shot to #1, not just on one store, but on both the Apple App Store and Google Play. Simultaneously,
Downloads.
over 50 million. And remember, every single time you failed, which was every few seconds, you saw a full-screen ad.
And that fire hose of engagement leads directly to that number, $50,000.
Yeah.
Every single day.
I just can't imagine watching your bank account grow like that. And that's the pivot point in the story. For most people, that's the finish line. For Dong Nguyen, this was the exact moment his success became a crisis.
Right, because if you're making that kind of money, why not just hire a team, change your number, move, just deal with it. Plenty of founders handle immense pressure. What was so different for him?
That's the key question. The speed of it all introduced these immediate, overwhelming problems that money couldn't really solve. Our sources talk about the instant loss of his entire private life.
His phone just started ringing off the hook.
Constantly. Strangers, journalists, investors, and worse, paparazzi were literally camping outside of his home in Hanoi. For a quiet, introverted guy, that's a nightmare.
A complete violation of the simple life he had.
It was. And that physical intrusion was bad enough, but then came the online harassment, which escalated into something much darker. This wasn't just, your game is too hard. It was personal, and it was malicious.
And the attacks were coming from a few different angles, right?
Oh, absolutely. First, you had the intellectual property stuff just exploding. He was bombarded with, "Nintendo will sue you, thief," messages. Then, as it hit #1, the accusations changed to fraud.
That he cheated the system.
Yeah, that he must have bought bots to fake his way up the charts. They were calling him a cheat, a fraud.
And then it got even worse. The threats.
Yes. The sources confirm he started getting actual death threats. Just try to imagine that. You're this quiet developer who wanted to make a simple distraction, and now you're a global public enemy receiving violent threats because of a cartoon bird. That whiplash, it just shattered his peace.
Okay, so the money is huge, the harassment is severe, but people endure that kind of thing. Was that really the breaking point? The fame and the threats?
The sources are pretty clear that, no, that wasn't it. While all that external pressure was immense, the real conflict that pushed him over the edge was internal. It was his conscience.
He felt responsible.
He realized he was dealing with the unintended harm his creation was causing.
Which is so interesting because it was the complete opposite of what he wanted. His whole design philosophy was about creating something relaxing, a quick break.
And he came to see that he'd made the opposite. He actually called it a digital heroin. He wasn't just watching ad revenue go up, he was reading emails and messages showing him his game was genuinely destructive.
He was presiding over an addiction crisis he created by accident. What specific evidence did he see? What were the anecdotes that really got to him?
This is the stuff that's just incredibly powerful. The sources say he was getting these emails from desperate parents, mothers writing to him saying things like, "My child failed their exams," or "My kid broke their tablet because of your game."
That's devastating. That completely changes it from a harmless piece of fun into something that, is actively breaking things in people's lives.
And it went beyond that. He was hearing reports of people being fired from their jobs, of relationships falling apart, all because of the addictive grip of this game.
So his huge financial success was directly tied to human dysfunction.
Exactly. That $50,000 a day became this heavyweight. It was like a bribe to ignore his own conscience. And there's that quote from his rare interview with Rolling Stone magazine. It just says it all.
What was it again?
He said, "Flappy Bird was my success, but it also ruined my life. I can't sleep anymore."
Wow. That's the whole story right there.
That's the ultimate burden. For someone who values peace, all that money and fame and toxicity, it just wasn't worth it. The success itself was the poison.
So he decides to act. And he gives the world this incredibly specific, almost unbelievable warning.
He did. February 8th, 2014, he posts that now famous tweet. He sets a deadline. "I will take Flappy Bird down from the stores in 22 hours. I cannot take this anymore."
And nobody believed him. I remember that. The reaction was just disbelief. Everyone thought it was some kind of cynical marketing ploy.
He's just building hype for a relaunch.
Right. Who would walk away from that kind of money?
But people just didn't get how serious he was, how deep his ethical pain went. He wasn't playing a game, he kept his word. And 22 hours later, Flappy Bird was gone. Wiped from the app stores. Permanently.
And what happened next is just a wild testament to the mania he had created.
Yeah.
Because deleting the game, that didn't kill the demand, did it?
Not at all. It just channeled it into this bizarre, frenzied secondary market.
The phone's on eBay.
That's right. The scarcity created this instant, insane value. Sources confirm that iPhones that still had Flappy Bird on them because the user hadn't updated or wiped them, they started showing up on eBay, and they were selling for astonishing amounts.
Not like a few $100s.
No, we're talking phones listed and sold for anywhere from $10,000 to, in a few cases, over $50,000.
People were paying a ransom just to keep tapping that little bird. That price tag, it just shows you the sheer depth of the addiction he was worried about.
It's a perfect illustration of the weird economics of digital scarcity. But through it all, Dong Nguyen himself, he just chose silence. He went back to that simple life he wanted. He took the money he'd already made, sure, but he consciously cut off the fire hose of revenue to stop maintaining what he saw as a destructive product.
So when we wrap this all up, what does this story mean for you, for anyone listening to this deep dive? It feels like the ultimate cautionary tale about the digital success myth.
I think the core lesson is profound. The great success that we're all sort of told to chase, the viral hit, the huge fortune, it can be a crushing psychological burden that we are just not equipped to carry.
Dong Nguyen's choice to walk away from $50,000 a day just so he could sleep at night. That's maybe the starkest example you could find of someone choosing peace over profit.
It forces you to redefine what a win even looks like. For him, the victory wasn't financial, it was existential.
And it leaves us with this idea of digital responsibility.
Precisely. If a creator feels so ethically compromised that he deletes a multi-million-dollar success because of the addiction it causes, it poses a really difficult question for the entire industry.
At what point does success or user engagement become toxic? Not just for the user, but for the soul of the creator.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. If you were Dong Nguyen, faced with that fame, those millions rolling in every single day, but also knowing that your simple little game was actively ruining lives, what would you have done?
It's a choice that's a lot heavier than a little yellow bird crashing into a green pipe.
Thanks for listening. If you found value in today's episode, please subscribe and leave us a review. It helps more people find the show. See you in the next one.
Hey, yo, haven't you checked out our new book yet? Link in description.